we're going to deliver. And it should be much more predictable and answer a lot of their questions. So we spend less time answering questions and more time saying, read the work instruction. It's free. It's on our website. So I will first go to the new work instruction that I created. And right now it's in Google Drive. I'll share it with people in Asana. And I'm going to create a template. And I'm probably not sharing my screen. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm sharing my screen. So this is the work instruction. I'm going to put it in Asana, so it's linked to with Google Drive, and this will be our working document that we can update, and we can add comments to it and whatever you want. But then I will make a Word version of this, or maybe even PDF version of it, available on the website on the Turnkey Quality System page, so people can download it and read it. So, you know, they have the master document list. They have the pricing on the website, they have the list of everything that's there, and they have this work instruction that explains things for them. And that should really help them. This should sure be step by step how they do it. But I want to also create a template in Asana for new projects. So when we're assigning, let's say you, Sharon, as a project manager to a Turnkey quality system, the first thing we do is open up a project in Asana, and we use the template as our, so we don't have to create the tasks, they're already created as the default. And then we can adjust it as we need to for that client, but we'll have all the records of all the adjustments and where it stands. So if, for instance, somebody goes on maternity leave, somebody gets bit by a dog, that person can have somebody else take over temporarily while that client's trying to implement their quality system, or, you know, whatever happens, somebody can come in and jump in on the quality system right away, and there shouldn't be a problem. So this has 15 steps that are listed, but right up front, what I say here is the Turnkey quality system, even though we call it Turnkey, it's not work-free. And so I'm going to make a little bit of a big deal about that on the website. But so basically this first paragraph is very clear to people, even if they don't download it, this is what it's going to say right near where that download button is. They're going to need to give this quality system 48 hours per week to maintain the quality system, even if they're a one-person company. The bigger your company, the more hours it will be, particularly if you have manufacturing. And then if you have implementation of the quality system at the beginning, before maintenance, that's going to be 100 to 120 hours. And that's my guess, but I think it's probably pretty close. I don't think we could do it for a lot less. And that's kind of based on what we actually have been putting in for a specific client recently that outsources a lot of their manufacturing. So here are the 15 tasks that make up that 100 to 120 hours. And it's generally written in the order that I would recommend implementing. Could you do it in a different order? Sure. But you start with a quality manual and you identify what things are applicable and what things are not applicable. And anything that's outsourced, you would typically say, we're not going to follow this procedure. Instead, we're going to use supplier quality management to manage that process. But you could have a scenario where we outsource for one product to a company, and we have another product we make in-house. So you might have the procedure, but you might also manage it through your supplier quality management for the outsourced things. So we actually have a case like that for a client, and it's the auditor that we're going through the stage 1 audit said, you got to really revise this so it's more clear. So those are the kinds of things you cover in the quality manual and in the procedures when you have outsourced processes. Next, we have a quality plan. We have a template for that. They should create a quality plan. It's basically telling you step by step what you need to do. You could start as a basis, copy these 15 steps in this work instruction as the beginnings of your quality plan, and then add detail to it with things like who's going to do it, when they're going to get it done, what resources they need, what software, what budget, things like that. That's what a quality plan should have. And the more detail you put in, the better. But you want to be really super lazy, just copy and paste these 15 points and move on. Next, schedule recurring meeting with your consultant. So Sharon, you've got 2 clients that I know you're working on the quality system with or more. For those clients, they should be scheduling weekly meetings with you. They could be every 2 weeks if they're implementing the process slower, but they should be 30-minute meetings every week or every other week as scheduled, and they should be considerate of your time. We're giving them 6 to 8 hours of consulting time based on what plan they've purchased. If they make a habit of scheduling meetings and not telling us when they're not going to show, that will count towards their 6 to 8 hours, even though they didn't show, and they will run out of time very quickly and they'll have to buy more because they didn't show up for meetings on time. Next on the list, they need to create their own organization chart. This is a requirement of the FDA, and it also shows responsibility and authority, and it's also can help you with other things like creating who's responsible for this procedure and who has what training requirements, things like that. So they should create their own org chart. We give them a template. I think I've actually updated it to our company, but if it's not up to date, let me know and that'll be one of the things we need to update, which brings me to another point. So when I go to SOPs for sale, this is the one that's not for distribution. So this is the one that we can write notes in as a team, and we can identify things that need to be fixed. So if you see the org chart is a problem, you would just go into the org chart one like this, and you would maybe document that with like a highlight like this, and maybe make a comment. And you could do it under the DCN place. That would be a good place. If you make it over the right, it won't get sorted if somebody sorts the list. If you make it here, it will get sorted with the list. So I would make the note here and say, Rob, update for Mary Martinez leaving company. Because I think that's something that probably needs to be updated on that. And then just so I can see the whole thing, you can wrap the text and you can go over here to format. There we go. So that way I would know what it says. So that's how this document should be used internally by Medical Device Academy to communicate things that are wrong. I recently got a list of things from people that like, here's some standards that appear to be out of date. So somebody's doing a very thorough job of going through every single one of the standards and identifying obsolete standards. Like, when are you going to update these? A lot of them are related to sterilization in clean rooms. And a whole lot of our clients don't even make sterile products. They make software as a medical device. And there are a whole lot of companies that outsource all those functions. So if you're a manufacturer that has clean rooms and sterile devices, you might need those updated more quickly. We may have to do some updating of that. I may have to even bring in a subcontractor to help us update those. But that I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of notes based on their review, because they were kind enough to give me the info of, hey, these are the things that are updated, so I can put them on the list and maybe we can prioritize those. But that's how I would like people to do it. If you see something that needs to be fixed, highlight it in yellow, make a note in this DCN column. In this document, so if you look at the tabs at the bottom, the first tab is always the revision history of that document. So this is our log of master documents. So this is list 1. It's at Rev A, but it's draft number, I don't know what. You'd have to look at the list 001, the one that we distribute, to see what draft it is. This gives you all of our policies, our procedures, and our work instructions. And I'm going to be adding to this list work instruction number 1. And this is going to be 6/30/2022. And this is going to be 6/30/2022. And this is going to be turnkey quality system implementation. That's what it's going to be. So this one will be going out. For those of you that didn't notice, over on the right hand side here, We have columns that provide traceability to the FDA requirements, the ISO requirements. And I think these other two are Canadian or European. Oh, it's Canadian and 9001. We don't have the European traceability on here. So that's what's in there. And then in this column here, it tells you what parent document each of these are associated with. So if you're looking for a form, a list, or a template, you're no longer going to find them floating in the ether all by themselves. Now you're going to find them, they're all organized in subfolders by procedure. And it should be according to this list. And if more than one's listed here, then it would be in more than one folder. So we have to update it 2 different places. So that tells us where we have to make updates when we make changes. So one of the ones that I know I need to update, and I got to sort by this column in order to do it right. It's list 6, the equipment register. Right now it's only showing up on this, but it should also be on SYS 14 for process validation and SYS 16 for calibration. And I got to format again. Row height and wrap. Whoop, I didn't wrap. And I'll highlight that. And the reason for that has to do with this note that I put in the work instruction. Where did I put it? I think it's at the bottom. Okay, so add all of your software, automated equipment, and calibrated devices to your equipment log, list 6. As new software, automated equipment, or calibrated devices are purchased, these items need to be added to the equipment log at the time of purchase or at the time of receipt at the latest. That isn't in a regulation somewhere. That's just good common sense on how to manage your equipment. You got assets that you paid $10,000s of dollars for, put it on a list and track it, validate it and calibrate it and maintain it. So maintenance is covered in that log as well. But then I give, this is what you do for quality system software. This is what you do for automated equipment. This is what you do for calibrated equipment. So just some general guidance on each one, but each one I reference the procedure that's applicable. So it's 51, 14, and 16. But 5 is the general procedure for all equipment in general. So I guess I ought to probably add that to 51 too. Okay, so that's added. Going back to this work instruction, in here, if, as we were talking, you could just copy and paste this whole entire list of 15 things, and that could be your quality plan, or you go step by step through the whole thing. But this section right here tells you what you have to do for these procedures. So some people are under the impression that they have to do nothing. They just approve the procedure. That's not the case. It's a multi-step process that takes a lot of time. In general, my recommendation is implement the procedure as quickly as you can, and with the expectation to update it over time. My reason for that is that way you will generate records and you will learn what you don't know about the procedure by using it. That seems to work much better than you spending a year trying to create the perfect procedure, which I've seen companies do. If you've never implemented a quality system, it's never going to be perfect. You should get over that right now and just implement the procedure and improve it over time. So it's continuous improvement of your quality system procedures through a combination of monitoring, measuring, auditing, and making revisions to the procedures and retraining people. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend, before you make a procedure, a new procedure or a revised procedure implemented, you should do the training first. So train first, then implement, not implement and then train people, because the training will uncover all kinds of problems with your procedure. But number one on the list, this is the minimum. Logo, company name should not be Medical Device Academy and our logo. It should be your company's name and your logo. Next, modify the titles for the job functions that match your chart. Document approval, responsibilities and authorities, and training requirements. There's 3 different sections where there are job titles. You need to update those for your company. Next, in the metrics section, you should be listing metrics or quality objectives for your company. If you don't even have that procedure, you're not going to have anything to measure. You're not even going to have it as applicable. If it's a very small part of your organization, you may do the absolute minimum to measure that process. If it's a really critical process, you might spend a lot of time on it. Next on the list is identify where you're storing records. So every single procedure you create, there's a section at the bottom for records. And if you have an electronic storage location, put the URL or hyperlink to where that is. And my recommendation is have it be a subfolder that's listed with what the form number is. So for instance, if it's labeled form number 1, then all the form number 1s, which is our DCN, go in there. And the log for the DCNs goes there, and maybe a blank copy of it. So you can just start with the blank record every time instead of hunting all over the place. But that's just a suggestion. You don't have to do it that way, but that's how I do it. That's how Matthew set it up for me and a couple of the companies. And things like purchase orders, you can use our form, or you can substitute the one you have from FreshBooks or QuickBooks. So you can use your existing forms that you may already have. You just need to swap them out and substitute the numbers and control the revisions. Next on the list, identify any definitions. So some of the procedures have definitions in them, some of them don't. My recommendation is to move them all to this policy 003, which is our glossary. You don't have to do that. You can eliminate the glossary and have them duplicated in procedures. But the more places the same glossary or definition is, the more likelihood that they won't match as you make revisions. Because there's no real way to track definitions unless you have a glossary. So that's one item. And your company may not need as many as we have, and your company may need more than we have. But we have created a very long list of documents or definitions that could be used in your glossary, and you just copy and paste them by regulation. There are also all kinds of definitions in the standards. So the next section about standards may increase that list substantially. If you have an electronic medical device, good luck to you. You're going to be there for at least a week or two just copying standards. And I'm not even kidding about it. So review the reference documents of external origin in your procedure and make sure that the standards are up to date. There are recognized standards specific to each market, and there are product specific standards, and you need to make sure that you have all the guidance documents. And I just gave 3 different hyperlinks, one for the FDA, one for Canada, and one for Europe, the evs.ee, just to give people a starting point. But if you go to this document, which is our master document list, there's a new tab, documents of external origin, and I put in a whole bunch of them already. And I recommend assigning a document number to them. So external 1, external 2, external 3. You don't have to do that, but you need to somehow keep track of all these documents. So you can keep track of them by the really long title or do this, but somehow they have to be in a log that's your external standards or documents of external origin, and you have to manage them. And then you might want to put the status over here, obsolete, inactive, in review, transition period, or whatever it's going to, like in this case, to be purchased. So that's just an example of what you would put there, and then the date you added it to your external standards list. And I give hyperlinks here to a whole bunch of EVS sites, and then some for AAMI, because I know these particular electrical safety standards, almost all of them, the US has some weird deviation that's different from the rest of the world. That's why I used AAMI standards instead of EVS.ee standards. I think that's generally a good approach, but if you have a company that's 100% European or Canadian, it might be a different set. That's why I provide that list of other standards. Going back, assign a DCN from the log, review and approve the procedures individually or as a batch. So you could, in theory, review them all and approve them all as one big batch on one DCN. We've done that before. Then use list 2, which is your DCN log. Fill out the DCN form for each DCN, and then that would go in that folder that you created. And there are 17 training webinars. These are the ones that I would launch first, and the trainings that would go with them would be number 1, number 2, number 3, 13, and 14. And then there's a YouTube video for cybersecurity. And this is just what I would recommend most companies start with if they're a new company. You need to review and approve about 2 to 3 procedures per week to get done in 4 to 6 months. So if you want to work slower than that, you could do 1 a week. If you're going to work faster than that, you got to have more days of the week. If you're going to split it between 2 people, 1 person could do 1 per week. This gives some idea of a cadence for keeping up on it. If some of the procedures I listed here don't apply, like they don't have software, so they don't have cybersecurity, whoever manager that I've assigned to the quality system implementation can swap out, oh, they don't need that, but they could probably use supplier quality and purchasing instead. Make the swap. I'm fine with that. But I'm leaving it to the project managers. They're going to talk to you if they want those procedures. If they don't talk to you, they're not going to get them. Create job descriptions for each job function, define the training requirements for each person in the job description and or the training matrix. Then create a training schedule for the employees and documenting the training on your training records or document. And this will, that doesn't sound right. You will need to include plans for evaluating training effectiveness and competency, because it's different than a read and understand. And I know you know that, but customers need to know that. Identify all your suppliers, categorize the suppliers. So is it a critical supplier? I define critical suppliers as a supplier that does contract manufacturing or does contract sterilization. I define crucial suppliers as suppliers that make custom components or subassemblies. So a subassembly, they're taking multiple off-the-shelf items and they're building them together for you. And they're maybe doing some tests. That would be a subassembly, like a printed circuit board. All the items might be off the shelf except the PCB. And then when you make it an assembly, now that's going to require process validation. It's going to require testing, and it's custom to your company. So that would be a crucial supplier. They're not a critical supplier because it's still just a component, but it's a crucial supplier because it's custom to your company. And so you should put them at a higher level of importance. And then I have other suppliers. The only other breakdown I would do is service providers, such as consultants. So a consultant, you could probably get away with just a resume. Maybe some letters of recommendation or certificates like lead auditor certificate. If you are a crucial supplier or a critical supplier, you probably should be audited either remotely or on site. The in-between group, the only thing you really need to do is have an agreement that says they're going to notify you if they make a change to the component. If they don't, then you're going to have to be more rigorous in your incoming inspection to make sure they didn't make a change. So those are the 4 categories of suppliers I like to use. You don't have to use that. You can have as many layers of suppliers as you want, but my recommendations are critical are the subcontractors that are making a finished device or sterilization. They will have to be on design certificates and stuff for companies that make class 3 devices. They'll have to be inspected by the notified body or the auditing agency. The ones that are crucial suppliers, you probably should be auditing them yourself. The next one down the list, they don't need to be audited, but you should have some sort of agreement in place that says that they won't, they'll notify you of a change. It could be in your purchase order. The other two, the crucial and the critical, you probably need a supplier quality agreement. And then the consultants, a resume, scope of work agreement, confidentiality, training certificate for lead auditor. Those are the appropriate things for that group. Do not use the supplier questionnaire that you have for crucial and critical suppliers for your consultants because it just pisses them off. Next on the list, create an audit schedule. So that's an important item. At the same time, internal, supplier, third party, and consider including your manager reviews in the same schedule, just for fewer things to manage. Next, if you're seeking third party certification, 1345 NBSAP or CE marking, you need to complete an application, get a quote, and execute a contract with one certification body, and schedule your stage 1 and 2 after the scheduled dates for your internal audit and manager review. So manager review and internal audit first, then the stage 1 and stage 2, and that should be part of your plan. Next, add all, so I already covered this, it's adding all your software, automated equipment, your calibration. Item 15, most companies wait too long. I think I talked about this before, but this is a key thing. We see startup companies all the time waiting until they're done development, and then they go back and document a design history file. That's not the right order to do this. The design plan is supposed to be reviewed and updated and kept up to date as the project progresses. It's not a create it once and you're done. It's supposed to be a living document. So don't be afraid to create a simple plan and add detail to it over time. It's better to have sort of a napkin sketch level of detail of the whole project. Like, how many years is this going to take me? How many millions of dollars is this going to take me at the beginning, rather than wait until you're 2 years into the project to come up with a plan. And you want to start building the design history file as you go, rather than build it all at the end. It's much easier to remember what you did and get dates and signatures as things go, particularly as people turn over in your company. And at different design reviews, you might have a change in your design procedure. That would be another logical time to update procedures. Oh, we'll update it at the next design review. But I cover that sort of in a paragraph here that's kind of long, but it says at the end, do not wait until you're 100% done with development of your device to verify your testing plan and regulatory pathway with the regulator. So do your pre-subs usually right after your stage 2 design review where you've approved your design inputs. And then I talk about your turnkey quality system options. So it looks on the website like you have 2 options. You have this $6,000 option and you have this $7,500 option. I thought it would be too complex on the website to offer all of these options, so I just kept it simple, 2 options. But you really have more than that. You can buy them a la carte. So you can buy individual procedures, but if you buy 3 or more at a time, you get a 20% discount by entering this code. If you don't want to enter that code or don't want to use PayPal, then you have to contact us. We'll prepare a quote and you can pay by Stripe using your credit card, or you can do a wire transfer, but you don't get the procedures until you pay. Next on the list, well, I would make an exception to that. If you're an existing client we're doing a 510K with, the consultants can just go ahead and send them to and we'll add it to their bill, or same thing with an audit. You're doing a $10,000 audit for somebody, you can throw them a $300 procedure and bill them later. For the US only turnkey quality system, if you don't want any consulting, you have somebody in-house that knows what they're doing, they just don't want to write all those procedures, it's $5,000. So they save $1,000. It's basically to cover the 6 hours of consulting that they didn't pay for. If they want the 6 hours of consulting, it's $6,000. That's one of the options that are on the website with a credit card. Next, you could pay for the turnkey quality system for global. So it gets you all the global, Canadian, and European procedures. You pay $6,000, but you get no consulting time. If you want the consulting time, that's the option that's available on the website. And that would be 8 hours of consulting, and it costs more for the 4 monthly payments. So those are the options for the turnkey quality system. And then the next sentence says, we do not offer refunds. So if you want to know what's inside, look at SYS3. You can go to the link on the page for SYS-003, and you can fill in your contact information and you'll get the free download. And so before you paid for anything, you know how the process works. Make sure it works smoothly for SYS-003. If you like it and you want to move forward, you can look at any of the procedures and say what's inside by clicking on the video. If there is not a video there, please contact me by email, and I will be happy to record a video of what's in there. There are a few that I have not recorded a video for yet. We have a YouTube playlist of all the ones that we do have them for. So if you look on that playlist and it's not there, that means Rob needs to create one. So just send me an email and I will be happy to record one and send you a link to the YouTube video once it's posted. If one of the consultants on my team wants to create one for an updated procedure or doesn't have time for Rob to get around to it, don't hesitate to record your own video and post it in Dropbox, and we'll put it on YouTube. Alicia can do all the postings on YouTube, no problem, without my help. So you can bypass me to get done faster if you want to. But basically what we're saying here is no refunds. We offer this. You can also, I recommend, if people are not sure, buy a couple a la carte and we will credit you for the ones you've already bought if you decide later to upgrade to the turnkey quality system. If you purchase the turnkey quality system, this is what you're going to get first. And the numbers here on the right refer to the training webinar that you're going to get. And if you purchase the global one, this is the only global procedure you're going to get. It's by far the most extensive procedure we have. It's quite long. It has all kinds of associated forms. There's a lot of work that went into it. We also have an IVD version of it. So we have the MDR version and the IVDR version. If you're one of those rare companies that has both IVDR and MDR, we'll give you both. But you need to have a meeting with your manager and say, oh, we have both, we need both. Let us know. It'll still be part of the turnkey quality system. But if you're doing global, this is what you're going to get, and you have to meet with a consultant to get this changed in some way. You are not going to get the whole entire list unless you pay for the whole entire list. Unfortunately, we've had several clients in the last year that have paid their first payment and say, oh, I didn't read the fine print that said I have to make 4 payments, even though it says it in big bold letters. And so we're taking care of that by saying, this is what you get. It's in a work instruction, and I'm going to post this video on the website so people know this is what you get. Walk them through it so they can download the work instruction. They can watch the video. Our whole team is on the same page, and we're even going to create an Asana template so we can manage these quality system projects that's based on these 15 steps. So we're going to put these 15 steps in Asana, and that would be each of the steps. And that way each consultant can add more steps if they needed. They can put in questions. And if the client wants to have Asana, there's also a free version of Asana. So it's very easy to create free version and share it with the client. But if this is what we're going to use internally. I think I covered everything related to the turnkey quality system. Now it's Sharon's opportunity to ask questions, since she's implementing like 3 of these right now.
I just have a question on what they get when they make a payment. Is that after the first payment and then we add more, right?
After the first payment, they get this list right here.
Right. Okay. And then
and that would be the online. That would be the online payment they're making.
Okay.
With PayPal. If they got a proposal instead, and it's set up with like 4 payments, then we would, this is also what we would provide after that initial proposal acceptance.
Okay.
However, if the company wants a different mix, then what they should do is ask us to revise the proposal to stay that.
Right.
But I give full discretion to any of the consultants that are assigned to, make changes as needed. If it's a client we've been working with and they're working on a 510K project and the client's been in good standing financially, you want to give them the whole entire thing, you go ahead and make that mistake. I've done it multiple times, and 80% of the time we have no issue, and 20% of the time we have people that don't pay their bills.
Okay.
I'm not going to beat you up for making a judgment call and being wrong, because I've been wrong multiple times.
Okay. So after that initial set of procedures and training videos, then it's kind of the project manager's discretion as to which procedures they get after they make the
Exactly.
next
And it
payment.
should be documented in the quality plan.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
should be, here's tranche 1, tranche 2, 3, and 4.
Okay,
And the 4 is going to be a lot of complaint handling, MDR reporting, recalls, things
recalls.
that they don't
Yeah,
need until they're on the market.
gotcha. Okay.
And we were talking before about changes we're making. So like you can use this master document list that says not for distribution to make notes and tell me what needs to be fixed and what is wrong. And we'll highlight that and make notes. But the one that actually gets shared with people and is on the website is this one here in folder SYS01. And it's the master document list, and it's the 17th version of that.
Okay.
So the only thing it's missing there is our highlighted notes and stuff, and the date we released it in Aweber. But what we're doing now is we're organizing things in subfolders by procedure, so people make sure they get all the appropriate forms and lists, because that's just a constant problem we've been having. So now it'll be much simpler. Instead of having all these down here, all those will roll up into folders by procedure, and whatever procedures they bought, they get what's in that folder.
I think
If
that's
there's something missing, let me know, but this makes it so much easier for Alicia and Lindsay. Somebody buys something and Aweber is being filtered by their spam filter. Now they just dig into that folder and send it, and it should be up to date. And it makes it much easier for Alicia to know exactly what things should be in Aweber, because she just goes to that folder.
Okay.
So it should improve our system a lot. And ultimately, we'll probably take all these training webinars that we have here, these 17, well, actually, this is only showing, oh, because I'm not looking in the right place. So I actually have a duplicate backup because I'm paranoid about losing everything. So here's the right one. Oh, I know why. I thought it was wrong, but it's not. There are 17 because which one is it? I think it's this one here, the 1345 one. One of these has 2 different webinars inside it.
Okay.
And that's what, so there are 17 webinars, but it's 16 trainings, because one of them has 2 different webinars in it. It's a stage 1, stage 2. And I'm pretty sure it's this one here. Yeah, stage 1, stage 2.
Okay.
So that's where you get 17 out of 16. But the idea is that over time, we would create webinars for each of the procedures. We have not gone that far. What we've got is short little 5-minute videos showing you what you get when you buy this, but that's not really the same as a training on how to do that procedure. And that's what we really need. But we have it for some of them, like design controls, we have it. Risk management, we have it. CAPA, we have it. We have one that's good documentation practices, which is 1, 2, and 4. And I think Tiffany's telling me I'm late for a doctor's appointment.
You are.
So I need to leave.
If you don't, they won't come again.
I think this will help you out with what you're doing. If you have any other questions, just shoot me an email, and I could even create like a frequently asked questions document, or I can put it right in the work instruction. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I will, rather than wait, I'm going to share that that Google Doc with you right away, so you can make edits in it right away.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.